if I did that from a little bit of money, what if I put all this bonus back into it? It like snowballed. And then my payoff was much greater. It's a playbook. I'm Jason Feltman. I'm very excited to talk to you about this one. And this is a thought that I've had a lot in the past. And this is the idea of payoff versus payout. What is the difference and why can it make so much of a difference in your bottom line in your agency? So let's dive in. Payoff versus payout. I really think that amateurs look at the payout. And I've talked to a lot of agency owners about this. It's something that I think is the difference between an agency that can really take off and an agency that slightly moves the needle. And a lot of agencies just really look for the payout. It's almost like we're looking at our agency kind of like an employee would, in the sense like, what's the ROI? And when we're looking at the ROI, we're looking at the immediate payout. And a lot of times to make those bigger leaps, the immediate payout is going to decrease, right? So if you bought a business, you paid out a lot of money. Not only didn't make any money at the beginning, but you paid out a ridiculous amount of money for your book of business. That transaction is something that we looked at the payoff for, right? You're looking at that long-term payoff by purchasing the agency. Now, that's what I did. And then silly me was thinking that whole first year, especially the first year, I didn't really understand this until a year and a half into it, is that, holy crap, I got to actually pay out more. Like I have to spend more money to actually build the business higher. I could really grow it from there without spending any money, which is insane, right? I guess you can grow it, but it's going to take a ton of your human equity time or your teams. And how much can you really move the needle in that? There's only so much, right? You're going to have to buy others' time if you want to really start building the agency. Now, think about this. You purchase an agency, like let's say it's a $3 million book, right? And you purchased it for, let's just say you bought it for $600,000. What you just bought was 3 or 4 years worth of work by a staff of like, let's say 3 people, 4 people, right? That's what you actually bought. That's what it took to build that book of business. And that's what you're buying. And so when you get in your agency, you need to grow that thing, and it's going to take money or time from others with your money to help build the agency. So really looking at what's the payoff. Are you willing to have a short-term payout or maybe even decrease or maybe even complete like borrow money to really build the agency? Or are you just worried about the little payouts? If you don't want to invest, that's totally fine, but don't think that your payout is going to increase substantially in the next few years unless you're putting a lot into it. I mean, that's just the bottom line. And that's where we need to be realistic. And if you don't want to and you don't care to grow, totally cool. But don't expect to, have a staff of 2 people. Expect to take these big leaps. It's unrealistic. So figure that out on paper where you want to be and put it down. Like, what will it take? How many people will it take? How much in marketing spend would that take? So let's talk about the payoff. It's not just that one commission check. So it's not the 6-month or 1-year commission check, because they're going to be with you for, let's say, average of 3 years. So it's all those renewals as well. That's why this model is such a good model. The subscription model literally was started with insurance, and all these companies now have built massive companies on the back of it because it's such a fantastic model, and they're willing to invest massive amounts of money to make it happen. Look at it. I don't know of an industry that doesn't have some sort of subscription model attached to it now. It's fantastic. I love it. Doing the membership thing, it's amazing. So, what we're making on that initial 6-month policy or 12-month policy is not all of what we're making. Not to mention, we're getting yearly bonus commission checks as well. But are you willing to get less of a payout now for a longer term payoff? That was the question that I asked myself when I started. And I took a huge pay cut when I came in to invest in marketing to grow, because I took a 40% paid decrease to buy an agency that cost $750,000, which is insane. And so I got to this point where I said, screw it. I'm going to put it all on the line. And I took every last dime and I put it into marketing, and I made a little bit of a bonus. And then I said, you know what? If I did that from a little bit of money, what if I put all this bonus back into it? And I kept doing that. And I did that for a few years, for 2 or 3 years. And then, man, it like snowballed, right? And then my payoff was much greater. And then the conversation quickly changed with peers and friends and everything else. It's like, well, you have the money to do that because your agency's at this size. Bro, my agency was peanuts. It was super tiny and it was completely failing. We had zero traffic or like no walk-ins. I mean, the book was a failing book. It wasn't the best decision. Wrong. It wasn't the best purchase, I would say. I probably spent more than I should have on it, but I took that as an opportunity, and I took all the opportunities that the carrier provided, and it was painful, but I delayed the payoff, or I delayed the payout for the payoff, and the payoff was worth it. And that, talking to other business owners that have really made big leaps in their business, they do the same thing. They delay the payoff. They delay that. If you can delay the payoff and delay the payout a little bit and put it back into your business, grow it, you can get to the size you want. Or if you don't want to, totally cool, but don't expect to have miracles happen that just aren't going to happen. I mean, again, it's just math. But, you know, this is a conversation I love to have because it's so important to look at that long term, because you can build an incredible agency. You can really do anything you want to with this model. I think it's one of the best businesses to be in, and I wish you the best in your agency. I know you can do anything you want to. Be realistic, model out the numbers, and get to where you want to go. I'm Jason Feltman.